Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Welcome to another episode of Christian Apologetics. As you guys know, I'm a Christian and I strongly believe that there is scientific, logical, philosophical, mathematical evidence for the existence of God, and that Christianity is true. The Gospels, reliable eyewitnesses accounts regarding Jesus and the resurrection, a central event in history and in Christianity, and why all these events can be considered true. And why Christianity answers the most important questions about our reality, about in what condition human beings are, and so on. So in these past weeks, I've introduced to you different arguments: the fine-tuning argument, the cosmological argument, the origin of life argument. And today I'm going to talk about another pretty famous and common argument, that is the moral argument. So morality. Morality is something that regards us humans only, because it doesn't regard about what we do. It's about regarding what we feel we should or we ought to do. So the moral obligation that in certain scenarios or in certain situations we may feel. So that's what the moral argument is speaking about. And therefore morality is something that each one of us has inside our mind and inside ourselves. So it's something that's very, very personal, very, very deep. And so you have to be honest with yourself. So I'm going to now introduce to you the logical version of the moral argument. I want to, if you're thinking about this, I want you to be honest with yourself and really think about this and really say, what am I feeling? Because it's, at the end of the day, it's a feeling. So it's something that we all feel inside of us. Now, what the moral argument says is pretty much this. If God doesn't exist, there would be no moral values and duties. What do I mean by this? Is that nothing can be considered objectively wrong or right unless there is God, that is the perfect standard for righteousness and wrong. So if God doesn't exist, this absolute standard of right and wrong doesn't exist, and therefore nothing can be considered objectively right or wrong. It's just a matter of personal opinion, of a society, of a culture, what our society believes is right or wrong, and so on. So morality is relative. If there is no God, morality is relative. Relative or subjective means that depends on the subject. So it depends on me, on what I believe, on what I feel. But the problem is that this is not actually true. We all humans share a common morality, and we all can distinguish quite easily, actually. If you take kids, this is even more easy to understand. We all share this common morality, obligation, especially toward others, because morality exists when there is one interaction between one human being and another one. And we all share a very, very easily distinction. So we know, deep inside of us, we know how to distinguish right and wrong. Take, for example, two kids, all right? You have two kids with two apples, with one apple each, right? And then you make one kid take forcefully the apple from the first kid and take it for himself. Now, then you ask the kid that was left without any apple how he feels. And he's gonna answer to you all the time, oh, it's not fair. Why would he do that? He already had an apple. I had just one. Why would he take that? No, it's not fair. Or I don't like this happening to me. And they're very, very honest with you. Kids normally are going straight to the point. They don't go around it. And they feel that something wrong has happened to them. If you, or even if you have just one kid, you know, and he has something and you take it from him forcefully, he's gonna react as if something wrong has happened to him. Now, why would he react like that? You have to ask that question. So why is a kid reacting like that? So why is the kid feeling that when then you ask him how he feels, he feels like something wrong has happened to him. And that's exactly what morality is all about. The fact that when something happens to us or to someone around us, we have this very clear distinction that helps us to understand if that something that has happened is right or it's wrong. Instead, for example, if you see a kid that is I don't know, it's in distress or needs some help, and you go and you help them, they're gonna be, oh, thank you so much. They're gonna be all gentle. They're gonna be all cheer. Why? Because they feel that something morally good has happened to them. So they behave and they make you understand very, very clearly that they are happy, that they feel that something good has happened to them. And that's once again this morality that it's written in ourselves. Now the problem is that as we grow up, we tend to start rationalizing, so we start to thinking a lot more, and we start to, many times we feel the first obligation that we feel when we're kids, we start ignoring it and we start thinking a lot more about it. For example, if you walk on the street and then at a certain point you see someone on the other side of the road being beaten by several people, your first moral obligation is to go help that person. You know, that's the first thing that you feel. But then you start thinking, wait, but if then they hurt me also, if then I don't know, if I don't want to get too involved, you start thinking about your own safety, your own your own safety, you know, your own self-survival, and therefore you ignore that obligation that you feel and you keep walking forward. So morality is all about this. So we cannot call anything objectively right and wrong unless there is God. But in our daily lives, we can very easily distinguish and we can understand, especially if you ask kids, they can very easily understand between right and wrong. And so because these moral values and duties do exist, that is actually a confirmation that God must exist. So I know it can be unclear. I try to give you some practical examples so you can understand. Try to thinking about this in this way. You cannot say that, for example, Hitler or Stalin were doing a wrong thing when they were killing those millions of people, unless you are comparing their actions with the perfect standard of righteousness of God. So if God doesn't exist, this perfect standard, this absolute, this objective standard of right and wrong do not exist. And therefore, Hitler and Stalin cannot be considered objectively wrong. They may be considered subjectively wrong by you, by a society, by a culture, but they can't be considered objectively wrong. So their actions cannot be condemned. And you see here the problem is that we actually feel that what they did was wrong. And we feel in this way because we have this standard of righteousness and we are comparing their actions between to that standard. So we know that killing someone because of your own gains or interests, or because you want to gain you want to gain money or power or position or whatever, it's wrong. And that's because we have this standard, this absolute standard of what's right and what's wrong. And yeah, that's pretty much the moral argument. I try to explain to you as easily as possible. This argument is very often debated because, as I said before, because it's something that we all feel very deep inside. Morality is something that is inside of us. It's very easy for someone to say, well, I don't feel that way. So you can't say that everyone feels in that way, you know. But the truth is that many people become deaf, or they ignore so much that internal moral obligation that it's like there isn't anymore, right? When you ignore something for so long, then it's like it's not even there. So yeah, that's why this argument is a origin for many debates. I just wanna tell you that at the end of the day, when atheists say that God doesn't exist, but then they point out that the killing of people in the Old Testament is wrong, or the fact that children are dying of diseases in Africa, it's wrong, or the fact that natural disasters are killing people is wrong, they're saying nonsense. Because if God doesn't exist, all these different things, so the fact that humans are dead, or children die, and so on, cannot be considered objectively wrong, right? So they're stealing, as Frank Turek says, they're stealing morality from God. So they're saying that God doesn't exist, but then they're stealing the standard of morality, the standard of absolute right and wrong. They're stealing it to judge what happens in the Bible or what happens in the world. And unfortunately, that's not. I don't know how it's called in philosophy, but that's actually contradictory. So you're saying certain things, but then you're using that thing that you deny that exists in order to prove another point. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and God bless you. See ya. Bye bye.